The big spaceship landed slowly on Earth. It was the first time aliens had come to visit humans. The ship was smooth and silver, and it made a soft humming sound as it touched the ground. Ambassador Tay stepped out of the ship. He had blue skin, 4 eyes and scales that shimmered in the sunlight. He was from a planet called Zircon, far away from Earth. Tay was nervous. His 6-fingered hands shook as he adjusted his silver uniform. "Earth's air has too much oxygen," said Jin, his assistant. She checked her breathing mask. "And it has too many plants. Be careful." Tay nodded. "I know. Humans live on a death world. I don't know how they survive here." In the galactic files, Earth was listed as a Class 5 death world. This meant it was one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy. Most aliens could not live on Earth without special suits. The air would burn their lungs, the water would poison them. And the plants, the terrible plants, were everywhere. "The humans are coming," said Jin, pointing to a group walking toward them. Tay stood straight. This was his first big job as an ambassador. He had to make a good first impression. The Galactic Council wanted to add humans to their group of friendly planets. But many aliens were afraid of humans. Humans were tough. They lived on a planet that would kill most other beings in minutes. "Welcome to Earth," said a human female as she walked up to Tay. Her name tag said Sue. She was tall with black hair. Behind her stood 5 other humans. They all wore blue suits with Earth symbol on them. Tay bowed. "Thank you for having us. I bring greetings from the Galactic Council." Sue smiled, showing her teeth. Tay tried not to flinch. On his planet, showing teeth was a threat. But he had studied humans. He knew they showed teeth when they were happy. "We are honored," said Sue. "This is a historic day for Earth. We have prepared a small ceremony and a tour of our city." A male human stepped forward. His name tag said June. He carried a box made of clear material. "Before we begin, we would like to give you a gift. It is our custom when meeting new friends." Tay felt happy. Gift giving was common across the galaxy. Perhaps humans were not so different after all. June placed the box on a small table and opened it. Inside was something that made Tay's 4 eyes blink rapidly in fear. It was a small tree, a living plant from Earth's surface. It had a thick brown trunk and small green needles on top. It sat in dirt. Tay stepped back quickly. His scales changed from blue to pale gray, the color of fear for his species. "Is something wrong?" asked Sue, looking confused. Jin's voice shook as she whispered to Tay, "They've brought a biological weapon to our first meeting. This is either a threat or they don't understand what they've done." Tay tried to stay calm. He remembered his training. "Humans might have strange customs. Do not judge them by our standards." He looked at the tree again. It was small, sitting in a shallow dish. The trunk was twisted in an unnatural way, as if it had been shaped by some force. "This is a bonsai pine tree," explained June proudly. "It is over 200 years old. We shaped them to look like miniature versions of full-sized trees. This one has been in my family for 8 generations." The other aliens in Tai's group moved farther away. One of them, a scientist named Pak, was already taking readings with a small device. "The organism is producing oxygen right now," Pak said, his voice filled with alarm. "And it contains compounds that would be toxic to most of us." Tay blinked, slowly, trying to understand. The humans were not running away, they were standing close to the plant. June was even touching it, adjusting its position in the box. "You touch this organism?" Tay asked carefully. "Of course," said June, looking puzzled. "All humans care for plants. This one needs special attention because it's so old and valuable." "Care for them?" Jin said, her translator struggling with the concept. "You mean you help them grow?" "Yes," said Sue. "We have plants everywhere. In our homes, our workplaces, our cities. They give us oxygen, food, and beauty." Tay felt dizzy. On his world, plants were rare. They grew only in special places and were dangerous to touch. Most alien worlds had little plant life, but Earth was covered in it. Green things were everywhere, releasing oxygen, a gas that would burn most alien lungs. "Ambassador, are you well?" asked Sue, looking concerned. "You've changed color." Tay tried to gather himself. "I am surprised by your gift. On most worlds, organisms like this are considered very dangerous." Sue's eyes widened. "Oh, I didn't realize. Should we take it away?" "No," said Tay quickly, surprising himself. "It is a gift freely given. We will find a way to study it safely." He was curious now. How could humans live so closely with these oxygen-producing life forms? Just then a breeze blew across the landing area. Tay saw movement all around them. Green things, tall plants the humans called trees, were swaying. They were everywhere, surrounding the landing area, lining the roads in the distance, covering the hills. "Those are all plants?" asked Jin, pointing. "Yes," said Sue. "That's a park. Those are oak trees, maple trees, and pine trees. Beyond that is a forest with thousands more." The aliens looked at each other in shock. Humans didn't just live on a death world. They lived with the deadly things. They brought them into their homes. They gave them as gifts. "Would you like to see our botanical garden?" asked June with a smile. "We have plants from all over Earth there." Tay felt a new emotion, not just fear, but wonder. Humans were even stranger than the reports had said. They didn't just survive on their deadly planet. They loved it. "Yes," said Tay, making a decision. "Show us everything. The Galactic Council needs to know what kind of beings you truly are." As they walked toward the waiting vehicles, Tay looked back at the small tree. Humans put Deathworld, trees inside their homes. What other surprises did these strange beings have in store? 3 weeks had passed since the aliens first landed on Earth. Now it was time for the aliens to learn more about how humans lived. Day was a cultural expert from planet Zircon. His job was to study how different beings lived across the galaxy. Today he was going to visit a human home for the first time. He felt both scared and excited. "Are you ready?" asked Wu, his assistant. Wu was taking notes on a small device that looked like a clear tablet. "As ready as I can be," said Day. He checked his breathing mask. All aliens from Zircon had to wear masks on Earth. The air had too much oxygen, which could burn their lungs. Min, their human guide, smiled at them. "The Kim family is very excited to meet you. They have prepared their home for your visit." The three of them got into a vehicle that humans called a car. It moved along a path called a road. Day looked out the window and tried not to shudder. Everywhere he looked, he saw green things. Plants covered the ground, trees lined the roads, even the hills in the distance were green with more plants. "How do you live with so many plants?" asked Day. Min looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Plants are good. They make our air clean, they give us food, they make our planet beautiful. On our world, plants are rare and dangerous," said Wu. "Most planets in the galaxy have very few plants." Min nodded slowly. "I forgot that your worlds are different. Earth has millions of types of plants. We could not live without them." The car stopped in front of a building. It was made of wood and stone, materials that came from Earth itself. "This is the Kim family home," said Min. "It's a typical house for this area." Day took a deep breath through his mask. He was about to enter a human home, a place where Deathworlders lived. A human female opened the door. "Welcome," she said with a big smile. Her name was Han. Behind her stood a male human named Kai, and 2 small humans that Min explained were their children. The inside of the house was clean and bright. Day was relieved to see that most of the furniture was made of processed materials, not living things. But then he saw them. Plants were inside the house too. Han noticed him looking at a green thing, in a pot. "Do you like my fern? I've had it for 5 years now." Day tried to keep his voice steady. "You keep plants inside your home?" "Of course," said Han. "Most humans have houseplants. They clean the air and make our home feel alive." Day looked around more carefully. There were plants in every room. Some were small with round green parts. Others had long, thin green extensions. Some even had colorful growths that Min called flowers. How many plants do you have in your home? Asked Wu, recording everything on his device. Kai thought for a moment. About 30, I think. Some people have more, some have less. My mother has over 100 in her apartment. Day could not hide his shock. 100 in one living space? Han nodded. She loves her plants. She talks to them every day. Talks to them? Wu's eyes widened. Can they understand? No, Kai laughed. They don't have minds like we do. But many humans believe plants grow better when you talk to them. Min led them through the house. Each room had more surprises. In a room called the kitchen, Han showed them plants they called herbs. Humans grew these small plants to eat or to add flavor to their food. You eat plants too? Asked Day. We eat many kinds of plants, said Han. Fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, they're all plants or parts of plants. In another room, Kai showed them a large piece of furniture made of wood. This table was made from an oak tree. It's over 100 years old. Day touched it carefully. It was smooth and hard. You make things from dead plants? Yes, said Kai. Wood is very useful. We build houses, furniture, and many other things with it. Han then showed them a special room with large clear panels that let in sunlight. This room had more plants than any other. Some reached from the floor to the ceiling. This is my sunroom, she said proudly. I spend a lot of time here, especially in winter when it's cold outside. Day could not understand why any being would want to be surrounded by so many plants. On his world, they stayed far away from any growing thing. Plants were studied in special labs with strong safety rules. Do your children touch these plants? He asked, watching the small humans play near some pots with green things in them. Of course, said Han. They help me water them and care for them. It teaches them responsibility. Day made a note to include this in his report. Human children were taught to handle dangerous life forms from a very young age. This explained many things about how brave and tough humans were as adults. Kai took them to a small room in the back of the house. He opened a door and showed them what looked like a dead plant with green needles. This is our Christmas tree, he said. We keep it for a special human celebration. In winter, we bring it inside, decorate it with lights and small objects, and put gifts under it. Day tried to understand. You bring a tree inside your house? Yes, for about a month, said Kai. Many human families do this. But doesn't it release oxygen? Drop its parts? Spread its plant materials? Asked Wu, struggling to find the right words. Yes, it sheds needles, Han laughed. We clean them up. It's worth it for the tradition and the nice smell. At that moment, the smallest human child ran up to Day and held out a small pot. In it was a tiny plant with round, fat leaves. I grew this myself, the child said proudly. Do you want to touch it? Day froze. The child wanted him to touch a living earth plant with his bare hand. He looked at Min for help. You don't have to, Min said quickly. Our visitors have different customs than we do. But looking at the child's happy face, Day made a decision. He would be the first from his world to willingly touch an earth plant. Slowly, he reached out one 6-fingered hand and gently touched a leaf. It was soft and cool. Nothing happened. He did not fall over dead or feel pain. The plant just sat there, silent and still. See, it's nice, said the child. Yes, said Day, surprised at his own words. It is interesting. As they left the house later that day, Day thought about all he had learned. Humans did not just live on a death world. They brought the death world into their homes. They ate it. They built with it. They gave pieces of it to their children, and somehow they survived. More than survived. They loved their strange, green, oxygen-filled world. Humans, Day said to Wu as they got back in the car, might be the strangest beings in the galaxy. Wu nodded. And perhaps the bravest. Yoon was a scientist from planet Zircon. Her job was to study life forms from other worlds. For the past month, she had been studying Earth plants. She worked in a special lab on the alien ship that orbited Earth. Are you ready for today's tests? Asked Jun, her research partner. Jun was taller than Yoon, with light blue scales and 6 fingers on each hand. Like all the aliens from Zircon, they both had 4 eyes, 2 large ones and 2 small ones. Yes, said Yoon. The human scientists are bringing more plant samples today. We'll test how they affect the air. June checked the safety seals on the lab door. The room was built to keep the earth air and plants contained. Both Yoon and June wore thin masks that protected them from the high oxygen levels that humans needed to breathe. I still can't believe humans live with these organisms everywhere, said June. On our world, we have very few plants, and no one goes near them without protection. Yoon nodded. That's why studying Earth and humans is so important. They live with dangers all around them, yet they thrive. The lab door opened, and Song entered. Song was the head scientist for the alien research team. Behind her came 2 human scientists, Bin and Hyun. They carried clear boxes with different plants inside. Good morning, said Bin with a smile. We brought the samples you asked for. This one is called a peace lily. He pointed to a plant with dark green leaves and white flowers. This one is a snake plant, and this one is aloe vera, the aliens. Looked at the plants with a mix of fear and interest. Thank you, said Yoon. We'll start testing them right away. The humans put the plants on a special table. Then they helped set up the testing equipment. Humans and aliens had been working together for weeks now, learning from each other. I have a question, said Jun to the humans. Why do you keep these plants in your homes? Aren't you afraid they will harm you? Hyun looked surprised. Harm us? No, these plants are helpful to humans. They clean our air by taking in carbon dioxide and giving out oxygen. Some can even remove toxins from the air. But oxygen is dangerous to many species, said Song. Not to us, said Bin. We need oxygen to live. Our bodies use it to make energy. Without oxygen, we would die in minutes. The aliens looked at each other. This was still hard for them to understand. What was deadly poison to them was life-giving, air to humans. Let's start the tests, said Yoon. For the next few hours, they ran many tests on the plants. They measured how much oxygen each plant made. They tested the soil the plants grew in. They even took small pieces of leaves to look at under powerful microscopes. Jun was studying the peace lily when she made an interesting discovery. Look at this, she called to the others. This plant is taking in the carbon dioxide we breathe, out and making oxygen. Yoon came over to look. You're right. It's happening right now in real time. The plant is changing the air around it. That's what we've been trying to tell you, said Hyun with a laugh. Plants and humans have a special relationship. We help each other live. Song was looking at data on a screen. According to these readings, having just a few plants in a room can change the air quality significantly. No wonder humans keep them in their homes. But there was something else that confused the aliens. Bin noticed their puzzled looks. You're wondering about something else, aren't you? He asked. Yoon nodded. Yes. Why do humans care so much about how plants look? The human female we visited, Han, had many plants that she said were just for beauty. What does that mean? Bindu thought for a moment. Humans don't just keep plants because they're useful. We also find them beautiful to look at. They make us feel good. Feel good? Asked Jun. How can a plant make you feel emotions? It's hard to explain, said Hyun. But being around plants can make humans feel calm and happy. Some studies show that having plants around can reduce stress and improve mental health. The aliens were shocked. These dangerous life forms actually helped humans' minds. This was new information. We need to study this more, said Song. The connection between humans and plants is more complex than we thought. As they continued working, Bin showed them pictures on a device. Look at these. These are some gardens from around Earth. The images showed large areas full of different plants. Some were neat and organized. Others looked wild and free. All had humans walking among the plants, touching them, and looking happy. Humans create these spaces on purpose? Asked Yoon. Yes, said Bin. We've been making gardens for thousands of years. Almost every human culture has some tradition of growing plants for food, medicine, or beauty. Song was typing notes quickly. So humans have been shaping their relationship with plants for their entire history. Exactly, said Hyun. We've been breeding plants to be more useful or more beautiful for thousands of years. That's why we have so many different types now. June was looking at a device that showed data about Earth. According to this, there are more than 390,000 different plant species on Earth. On our planet, we have less than 500. And humans know about all these plants? Asked Yoon. Not all of them, said Bin. We discover new ones every year, but we've studied and named most of them. The alien scientists were amazed. Humans had not just survived on their dangerous planet. They had learned about all its life forms. They had formed relationships with plants that helped both species thrive. Later that day, after the humans had left, Yoon, June, and Song met to discuss what they had learned. I think we need to change how we think about humans, said Yoon. We've been seeing them as tough creatures who survive despite their harsh world. But that's not right. What do you mean? Asked June. Humans don't just survive on Earth. They are part of Earth. They belong there. They have shaped their world and their world has shaped them. Song nodded slowly. Yes, I see what you mean. The plants aren't enemies to humans. They're partners. Partners, repeated June. That's a new way to think about it. Yoon looked at the peace lily still sitting on the table. Think about it. On our world, we try to control nature. We live apart from it. But humans live with nature. They bring it into their homes. They care for it. And that might be why they're so different from us, said Song. They don't see their world as a death world. They see it as home. The three scientists looked at the plant. It sat quietly in its pot, its white flowers glowing under the lab lights. To the aliens, it was still strange and a little frightening, but now they understood a bit more about why humans love these green life forms. I have an idea, said Yoon suddenly. Let's create a special room on our ship, just for Earth plants. We can study them more closely, and maybe we can learn to appreciate them the way humans do. That's a big step, said Song. Are you sure? Yoon thought about the human child who had offered her a plant to touch. She thought about Han, who talked to her plants every day. She thought about all the ways humans and plants helped each other. Yes, she said firmly. If we want to understand humans, we need to understand their relationship with plants. And the only way to do that is to start our own relationship with them. Jun looked worried but also curious. I guess we'll need to get used to more oxygen in that room. And learn how to water them, added Song. And maybe, said Yoon with a small smile, learn how to talk to them too.
The Galactic Summit was proceeding smoothly until the humans unveiled their gift to the newly constructed Interspecies Embassy, a carefully designed garden featuring specimens from Earth's various biomes. Ambassador Tae, now much more accustomed to human peculiarities, immediately recognized the diplomatic catastrophe unfolding. Representatives from the Methane Confederacy were backing away rapidly. The silicon-based crystalline network delegates were emitting distress frequencies. Human Ambassador Sue, Tae intervened quickly. Perhaps we should discuss the botanical exhibit in private before the full presentation? Sue looked confused. Is something wrong with our gift? We've selected only non-toxic species that can thrive in the embassy's controlled environment. The issue, Tae explained quietly, is that your definition of non-toxic differs substantially from that of many member species. By the time they managed to relocate the Earth Garden to a specially contained wing of the embassy, 3 diplomatic incidents had been filed, and the Methane Confederacy's junior ambassador had suffered respiratory distress from proximity to the oxygen-producing flora. Later that evening, in the secure human wing of the embassy, the Earth delegation held an emergency meeting. I don't understand, June said, absently stroking the leaves of a small potted plant on the conference table. We specifically chose species that don't produce pollen, toxins, or irritants. Ambassador Sue sighed. The problem isn't what they produce, it's what they are. Most species never developed alongside photosynthesizing organisms. Their planets don't have Earth's biological diversity. To them, our plants are as alien and terrifying as a room full of phase spiders would be to us, offered communications. Officer Hyun, referencing a particularly nightmarish arachnid species from the Orion Arm. Precisely, Sue nodded. We need to completely rethink our approach to cultural exchange. As they discussed alternatives, none of them noticed the galactic news drone hovering outside the window, recording footage of humans casually touching vegetation with their bare hands. The segment would later be broadcast across 17 systems. Under the headline, Deathworlders and Their Deadly Companions, The Shocking Truth About Human Plants. One standard galactic year after first contact, the Interspecies Research Center on Mars hosted the first Galactic Botanical Conference. Behind triple-sealed containment fields, scientists from 200 worlds examined Earth vegetation under strictly controlled conditions. Professor Bin of Earth's Diplomatic Sciences Division addressed the assembled xenobiologists. We understand that our relationship with plants represents one of the most profound differences between humans and other sentient species. What we see as nurturing and symbiotic, you perceive as dangerous and incomprehensible. Chief Researcher Song, now heading the Deathworld Studies Department, added, Through careful study, we've determined that humans have co-evolved with these organisms to such a degree that separation would be detrimental to both. The human tendency to surround themselves with plants isn't merely cultural, it's biological. A representative from the silicon-based crystalline network raised an appendage. Our analysis confirms that humans absorb trace elements from these organisms. Is this consumption? In a sense, Bin nodded. But it's mutual. Our carbon dioxide feeds them. Their oxygen feeds us. It's a relationship that shaped our evolution. Across the auditorium, Ambassador Tay watched with all four eyes wide. After a year of studying humans, he was still amazed by their resilience and adaptability. The very characteristics that made Earth a death world had pushed humans to develop remarkable traits. Compassion for other life forms, symbiotic thinking, and the ability to find beauty in the deadliest environments. Perhaps, Tay mused to Jin, that's what makes humans so unique in the galaxy. They don't just survive their deadly world, they embrace it, nurture it, bring it into their homes, and make it part of their families. Jin nodded thoughtfully. The Galactic Council is already discussing reclassifying Earth. Not as a less dangerous world, it's still objectively a death world by our standards, but as something new entirely. What classification? Asked Tay. They're calling it a harmony world, a planet where deadly forces have balanced into something beautiful. Behind the containment field, a human child was carefully watering a small tree, talking to it as if it were a friend. To most of the watching aliens, the scene was still incomprehensible and vaguely terrifying, but to an increasing number of galactic citizens, it was becoming something else. Inspiring.